I'm getting ready to do some painting, and that means clicking onto this thing and being all like, "What up? What up, dog? What up, dog?" That's right. As he's like, "Hossy, come back." Any kind of fool could see I was wrong, and I don't want to live without you. That's right. Singing to my brother. Hunger, come back. You can blame it all on me. There is something in everything about you. Doom, doom. Anyway, we'll see if that summons him to the uh, channel. Right, I'm using the Summon Little Brother song. Right. Is it weird that every time I hear the song Country Roads, I always substitute Kentucky for West Virginia? I always do. You know, it's like, country road, take me home to that place that I belong. Oh, Kentucky, Mountain Mama, take me home. Country road. Yeah. I have, over the years, learned to respect and be nice to people from West Virginia. It's not a natural thing either for me or my family. And I don't know why exactly, but who knows? But for the longest time, um, like my grandparents, great grandparents, like as far back as I can remember, they always kind of despised West Virginia. You know what I mean? Just kind of never had a good thing to say about West Virginia. You know, they would refer to West Virginians as traitors, losers, whatever, you know. And I'd always be like, damn, that's kind of wild. And then later I figured it out because, you know, everybody can't be a dumbass their whole life. And eventually, even a young me figures things out. And the thing was that they hated West Virginia because of what happened in the Civil War, which I think is kind of weird since Kentucky got conquered in the Civil War. At least for the most part, you could say it did. I mean, there were still holdouts in the East, of course, hiding out in the hills and the mountains. But I mean, Paducah and Bowling Green, Elizabethtown, all that all got conquered pretty quick. But for some reason, Kentucky people always thought of West Virginians as like untrustworthy scallywags. I guess that's a word we could use. Untrustworthy scallywags. West Virginians. Because, you know, even after the majority of Kentucky had been conquered and pacified by Union forces, Kentucky still had regiments in the field fighting the war, right? But West Virginia, they're like, oh, yeah, you know, we're going to break away from Virginia and form a Union state. And it was just like, what a betrayal, you know? What? I mean, how do you, I guess, ever get over that kind of betrayal? So My grandparents, great grandparents, mom, they yeah, they were never really fond of West Virginia, which is not to say, like I'd be mean to a person from West Virginia. It's just saying that, West Virginians are just traitorous scallywags, as I said. They, instead of fighting to the end and maintaining their loyalty and honor, they rolled over like a bunch of bitches. And now what is West Virginia? Mostly just welfare queens and freaking meth heads. Like you want to see what West Virginia is? There's a show called The Wild and Woolly Whites, and it's a family from West Virginia that has been on like generational welfare for 3 or 4 generations. Hey, there's left. So, also when people talk about the Hatfields and the McCoys, right? The Hatfields were West Virginia. The McCoys were Kentucky.
The song Country Roads isn't about West Virginia.
He says West Virginia.
It's actually about western part of Virginia.
Okay.
I think the whole part where it says West Virginia is actually a more modernism, maybe? I'm not sure about that though. I know they do sometimes change, certain lyrics to certain songs sometimes.
Well, I'm just going off about my family history with that. Like one thing, if you ever watch a show about the Hatfields and McCoys, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the McCoys are the good guys.
Oh yeah, no kidding.
Like the Hatfield that started the whole damn thing went AWOL from the Confederate Army. Meanwhile, the McCoy stayed to the damn end and fought it out. And then he came home and immediately, because he was home and everyone else was at war, started taking advantage of the situation and logging all the land and everything, some of which did not even belong to him. And it caused a to-do, And the saddest part is when they were in the army together, they were in the same regiment. They were buddies, they were friends. But
one of them wasn't a true friend.
Yeah, but the McCoy was a bitch. That's all you can say. I mean, he was a bitch. And then, a bunch of vendetta later. See, people think vendettas don't happen. They happen.
They happen quite often.
Where you are, But yeah, they go down. Like, hey, it's almost like in Dune, right?
Yeah.
When Fade calls out Paul Canley, I invoke the right of vendetta. It's like.
But back to the lyrics thing, I know that My Old Kentucky Home has been changed quite a bit from its original.
Of course it has. Yeah, but anyone that changes those songs can kiss my ass. I mean, we all know the greatest singer of all time. He did what? 3 songs about Kentucky, maybe?
Yeah.
And everybody's favorite is like Cold Kentucky Rain. Kentucky rain keeps falling down, down, down. And up ahead another town goes by. Dan, 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 with the rain in my shoes, searching for you. That's right. I can't do it because, no one can do Elvis. Let's be honest. Elvis. It's Elvis. So, yeah. But anyway. And of course, Blue Moon of Kentucky, keep on
shining. Shine on.
It's gone and left me blue. That song was done by everybody.
Yep. They even had that on King of the Hill.
Yeah, I mean, that was just like,
Which was kind of funny because at the end they got this one like famous country artist to fill in for their violinist, and Dale just goes, "Connie, Supernusifone, give her a hand, everybody!" And the fat guy's just like, "You fucking."
oh yeah, Connie, the Thailand girl next door was a violin virtuoso.
Yeah, and she was Laotian.
Oh, Laotian. Yeah, okay.
It's
Whatever.
like the ocean. You know. What ocean?
Yeah, I mean,
are you Chinese or Japanese?
That's what they're. Are you Chinese? Or they're like, no. The dad would always be like, "We the ocean." Start yelling at him. Shit. You rednecks.
Like what Bill said after that. The ocean. What ocean?
Oh, that guy. 25 years in the army, just cutting hair.
I mean, here's the problem. There's a reason why he got fat and bald.
Yeah.
It's because he, in high school, he was unknowingly taking steroids.
Yeah. Yeah, he's an interesting character. And then, of course, you've got, what's his name, who may or may not be a U.S. Marshal.
Boomhauer? Probably not.
Well, I mean, when Hank opened up his wallet, it said U.S. Marshal.
It just opened up at the end whenever he threw it over. And I'm betting that was fake.
Yeah, I think that if Boomhauer was carrying a fake U.S. Marshal, if he ever got pulled over, he'd be going to prison. That's kind of how they handle that.
Fair, but
it's like, oh, you're carrying a fake U.S. Marshal badge? Yeah, you're going to prison.
Why wouldn't he have said that to that one cop that pulled him over, though, then?
Because maybe he was a secret operative or something for the U.S. Marshals, because he never told anyone. That was kind of Boomhauer's whole deal in the whole show, was no one ever knew what he did. All they knew is that he talked really weird and he loved sports cars and walking around in banana hammocks and banging hot chicks. That was basically Boomhauer's whole thing.
Yeah.
Daggone, I tell you what. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he'd hang out in the back alley and drink some beer with the neighbors. But, he never married. He never tried to settle down. He's just like doing his thing.
There was a couple episodes where he tried.
Where he tries. Yeah, there is.
Work out.
I mean, that was actually, how you doing, James Lowry? That was actually Lefty. Yeah, that's if he's Lefty, I guess I'd have to be Poncho. Come on, Left. You got to get that reference, right?
No.
Willie Nelson and Waylon Jennings?
Yeah, no.
No, it's Willie and what's his name? The guy who did Folsom Prison Blues originally.
I don't know.
He did Old Fogey from Muskogee. Merle Haggard. There was a period where Willie Nelson was doing a lot of like duets with like basically everybody. And he put the album out and it was called Half Nelson. And he had like 7 Spanish Angels, which was Willie Nelson and Ray Charles. To All the Girls I've Loved Before, which was Willie Nelson and Julio Iglesias. And then, of course, the most popular one, Poncho and Lefty. And Poncho was a bandit boy, so he was the Mexican guy and he robbed people and he wore his pistol out in the open so that he could be intimidating and stuff. And Lefty was a bandit. And basically one day, Poncho ended up getting killed and turned in for the money, right? And the strong insinuation is that Lefty did it. but he never told anybody whether he did it or not. And because this happened, I guess, in Mexico, like the chorus is all the federales say they could have had him any day, but they just let him slip away out of kindness, I suppose. You know what I mean? And they're like, and on the day that Pancho died, Lefty bought a train to Cincinnati where he got the bread to go. Ain't nobody knows. And then it ends with, Pancho needs your prayers, it's true, but save a few for Lefty too. He only did what he had to do. And now he's growing old. Because that was the thing, he had been a singer, but after everything went down between Pancho and Lefty, it says that the dust that Pancho bit down south ended up in Lefty's mouth, and so he couldn't really sing anymore. And he's in Cleveland, freezing, and waiting to die. So, good song. Good song. One of their better songs. I mean, back when you had Outlaw Country.
Yeah.
And do you know who is responsible for Outlaw Country?
Who?
The guy who wrote Country Roads.
Oh.
John Denver, when he put out his album, which won like the Country Music Award and everything, it pissed like half of the country music artists off because they did not consider that to be country music at all. You know what I mean? So then you get like Haggard and Waylon and Nelson and hey, how you doing, Queen J Blue? You get all these guys and they get together and they just all start singing about getting pissed drunk all the time. And all that kind of shit. Hank Williams Jr., who was just like straight up singing about getting drunk and smoking weed. And that become kind of the outlaw country. And it was like Cash, Nelson, Hank Jr., Chris Christopherson, David Allan Coe, even though he only had a couple of songs that we could even talk about on this channel, which is If That's Not Country, I'll Kiss Your Ass, and Never Called Me By My Name. The rest of his songs make ample use of the N-word. So, they don't get a lot of play. Oh, yeah, that guy right there. See, he is not outlaw country.
No.
He is Western.
Yep.
That's cowboy music right there.
I know, but I like it.
Oh, you're loud. He's one of the greatest.
Yep.
And the song, oh, damn. I know it in my head. It's like, out in the East Texas town of El Paso, or was it West Texas?
It's El Paso. I know that.
I fell in love with a Mexican girl.
That has a sequel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, everybody loves that song, and it's all fun and games until the trees start singing Country Roads. There's a meme, and it shows like a Chinese infantryman crying. And it's like when you find out your unit's getting deployed to Appalachia, and the Chinese guy is crying. He's like, yeah, because you're not coming back, But yeah. I tell you what, man. When I was young, hanging out in the bush with a campfire and everything, you know what I'm saying? We sang us our share of Hank Williams.
Makes sense.
Hey, I sang a song to summon you earlier, buddy. Oh, yeah. You know, the whole, they ask me, Hank, why do you drink? And then, of course, the answer is to get drunk. Why do you roll smoke to get laid? Why must you live out the songs that you wrote to get laid? You know what I mean? It's like,
They
yeah,
seem very self-explanatory.
right. And then, of course, Country Boy Can't Survive. Like, we say grace and we say ma'am, and if you ain't into that, we don't give a damn. Oh, at the Spittle again. Well, you do love that place. That does seem to be your favorite hangout. But for me, growing up, and I do love me some Hank Williams Jr. and Hank Williams Sr. for sure. But for me, I mean, nothing beat Johnny Cash. Johnny
Johnny
Cash
Cash was the legend.
was the legend for me. It was like
Ragged Old Flag.
going down to Jackson. I'm going to mess around, you know, and all that shit. I mean, he was just, you know, until then, I'm the man in black.
25 minutes to go.
Yeah. And then, of course, Merle Haggard actually, the whole Fulton Prison Blues was based on Merle Haggard's real life. When he was like 17, he robbed a grocery store that happened to be attached to a post office. So instead of charging him with robbing the grocery store, they charged him with robbing a federal building.
Oof.
And he got life with no parole in Fulton County Prison. And the only reason he got out is one day, like the governor of California happened to be there on a tour, and Merle Haggard was putting on a concert for the other inmates. You know what I mean? And he was so damn good that the governor of California, or whoever it was, looked into his history and was like, this kid should not be here. You know what I mean? It's like,
It's just like he just robbed a grocery store.
it's like he robbed a grocery store because they were starving, and the judge decided to charge him with like the most heinous thing he could. So the governor gave him a full pardon, and he went on to start, you know, putting out his music. But he let Johnny Cash sing his song, though. The Fulton Prison Blues and all that. What's up, Cyborg? Yeah, he was okay with Cash singing it.
I think usually a lot of people are.
Well, back then they were a lot more like collaborative. You know, it's like somebody would sing a song and then like 3 other dudes would sing the same song and no one really gave a shit. You know, it's like whatever.
Heck, there was one song that gets attributed to Cash even though it isn't even his. And even the original artist would actually be like, it's his song now.
Oh, 9 Inch Nails. Hurt. Yeah, Trent Reznor, and I'm a 9 Inch Nails fan. I've seen them in concert during the Downward Spiral tour. And yeah, Trent Reznor was like, that's not my song anymore. Going to try to get some sleep. You do that, homie.
Heck, I've listened to Johnny Cash play Big Iron.
I was singing to Hungar, though. I was like, Hungar, come back. You can blame it all on me. There is something in everything about you. Down, down. Hungar, come back. Any kind of fool could see.
Gay.
I am wrong. I was right. Gay.
Gay.
Well, I don't know if you're singing it to your brother in like a completely platonic way. Not
familial terms, not
gay. But if you're singing it to another man, then maybe a little gay, maybe. But I mean, you know, everybody's a little.
I
gay.
just want to make the joke.
Everyone's a little gay. What was that? What was that from that movie?
I don't know.
Somebody's like, "You're gay." And the guy's like, well, I think everybody's just a little gay. It's like, what? But hopefully he feels better and they get his. I already know why he's in the hospital. Anytime Hungar goes to the hospital, I know why. It's because his electrolytes got all effed up. And some of you guys without medical experience may not know this, but if your sodium and your potassium get all jacked up, then you're going to be in trouble because your heart literally beats because of potassium and sodium crossing the intercellular walls, which generates the electricity. So your heart is a sodium potassium pump. And if you get too much or too little of either of those things in your system, your heart starts being like, dude, what's going on here?
Yeah, this is not right.
Like, something ain't right. And then you can get dysrhythmias and all sorts of bad shit that can eventually kill you. I mean, you will eventually. Tater Salad said that. Yeah, I love that guy, Tater Salad. They call me Tater Salad.
Oh, James, I finally figured out how to open these P90 mags.
Yeah, you've been working on that for a bit, haven't you?
It's very simple, and I should have thought about it. There's a button at the end of it. You just press down with something, and then it'll pop. You can just slide it off the.
Yeah, you press the button down and then slide the top off.
Yep, and
so pretty much like every magazine ever created.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Anyway, I thought you could press it down with your finger. I couldn't get the pressure enough to do it, but I found something I could just pop it out.
Well, I had a G. What's the 7.62 German battle rifle? The civilian version, which is what I had, was called an H&K 91.
G36C?
No, that fires 5.56. Mine was the old one. Like that they carried in the 60s, and it fired 7.62 NATO.
Maybe they just, maybe it's just a G36 without the C. I don't know.
I think it's a G6 or G36, whatever it was. And the magazine, the rifle actually came with the tool for that, because that spring on those magazines, there's no way you were pushing that shit in. Yes, my love. You look beautiful in that purple shirt.
Well, thank you. Be careful and don't forget to wear, because that shirt is pretty clean. And
it's just old paint shirt.
Okay. Could you get me down sugar? I'm making the pickled onions for our friends tomorrow.
Yeah, I can do it. I mean, not right this second, but of course.
Okay, because I'm boiling this.
Oh, I looked outside. We do not have backup trash bags.
Okay.
Unless I'm blind, which is entirely possible. My wife is constantly needing me to. I think she only keeps me around because I can get like tall stuff down for her, because I wouldn't say she's a midget, but she's definitely a shouty.
Yeah, I'm one of the taller people in my family, so I'm usually doing that too.
Yeah, my family, I told you how we had the roller coaster. Like my grandpa and all of his brothers, and he has 5, were like 6'5" or taller. You know what I mean? Big old Kentucky boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, none of our families like that exactly, but still.
Yeah, well, my grandpa married a 4'11" woman. So all of his children, which would be my biological dad and all my biological uncles, right? They're 5'6". And my brother's like 5'6", and he favors that side of the family, right? And yet somehow I was born, and everybody thought I was going to be little, because when I was young, I was little.
So sugar was in the freezer. I got it, and
oh, well, look at you. You solved all the problems. Something happened, and I bloomed up to like 6'1", 6'2".
I'm 6'1", and I mean, I stayed pretty big as a kid too. So, like, I came out like big as a baby, apparently, and then I was very skinny when I was pretty young, but not anymore exactly.
I was the smallest kid in my class up until about the 6th or 7th grade. which means I got bullied, which means I learned how to be mean as shit.
I got bullied a lot too, and yeah,
Yep, I learned how to be incredibly mean. And eventually people don't bully you anymore. All you got to try to bite somebody's thumb off, they stop bullying you. You know,
never tried that, but hey,
I'm telling you, it works.
fair.
Try to do some serious damage, even if they walk away thinking they won that fight. They're not coming back looking for a second one. You know what I'm saying? That is the key to if you got a bully and you have to fight them. It's like, don't try to win. Just try to hurt them as much as you possibly can. Inflict as much pain as you can upon them. And yeah, that'll cure them. That'll cure them.
Yeah.
Whether they beat your ass or not. The next time they think about it, they're going to be like, yeah, I could bully this kid, but, you know, he brings the pain, and I don't like that. Janet, yes, we heard about you being bullied in school, but you know what that was? That was just all the guys that were too shy to try and get a date. So they covered up their insecurity by bullying you. Because dudes do that. I mean, I don't know why, but it's a guy thing. Guys
I'll watch
do
that soon.
You know, it's like they used to say, like, if you were in elementary school and some boy pulled a girl's hair, it wasn't really meanness. It was he wanted her attention because, you know, he had the hots for her. He just didn't know how to handle it because he's just a boy, you know. No one pulled him aside and said, look here, man. You got, you know, I don't know, share your Reese's cups or something. You know, if you're trying to get in good with them, don't pull their hair. That's not going to work out. Or maybe it will. It depends on the woman, you know.
Yeah.
I've known some women who really enjoyed a good hair pulling.
Well, James, back to the mag. I know what I need to get this thing, the spacer out of there now.
So you can make it fully illegal.
It's not fully illegal. It's very legal here.
Yeah, it's legal.
It's legal here. I can have full 50 round mags. It's not.
Yeah, they say you can have the full 50 round mags because they know you can't afford them.
They would normally be out of my price range, but hey, at least I have 5 of them, so I'll be
They're
happy.
like, you can have 50 rounds. Now go out there and buy those 5.7s. See how that works. They didn't do it to the other girls. Well,
I was talking about just the magazines too, because you wouldn't know something. These things are expensive. Like on sale, they were at $40.
Yeah.
Without the sale, $60.
Yeah. You bought the space gun that all the nerds want, so now you get what you get.
Right. I'm not going to buy a new mag. I don't need them. I got 5 of these things.
Yeah, that always happened to some girls, Janet. It's a damn shame. It's just because young men are functionally retarded and don't know how to deal with our own emotions. I mean, that's like science even. I'm not even talking like stupid shit here. I'm talking like science. It is science that young men are stupid. Like way stupider than they're going to be when they get about 30, right? Once you get about 30 and all the hormones and shit calm down, then all of a sudden the men are like a little bit cooler about shit. But there's many reasons you could have been picked on. Reasons I can remember guys picking on girls, which it was always because the guy wanted to you know, the girl's attention, really. But either you developed really quick or you didn't develop. So you got made fun of for being flat-chested, or people made fun of you for having big hoos. I mean, it was always, yeah, there was always something. But usually had to do with boobs, really. In my experience, most of the time, it was somebody making fun of a girl because of their boobs. And most of the time it was because they were infatuated with the girl. But as men, they were too retarded to know how to go about getting the attention in the correct way. So, oh, a little broken heart. That makes me sad, Janet. But look at you now. You've got friends. You play games online. You know, hopefully you're happily, you know, however it is you're doing. Because I really don't know. But like if you're married, I hope you're super happily married. And if you're not married, I hope you're super happily single. I mean, Dolly Niblets. Oh my God. Yeah, but I guarantee you the guy that was making fun of you for your appearance, he probably really wanted a date. And he was just too male retarded to ask. Because I'm telling you, it is a scientific fact. Guys at a certain age, and they just get, like, their IQ just dumps. And that's why you always got the hold my beer moments. You know what I mean? And it's always some dude doing something really stupid. Because that's just what dudes do, man. That's why I have, now that I'm the age I am and married happily for as long as I've been, I am of the opinion that women, if they want to have children, it's okay for them to get married around 20 and have all the children they want. But men probably shouldn't get married to anybody until they're like 30. Because until you get into like your late 20s, maybe 30, men are just dumb as shit. So, you know, but women, by the time they're around 20, they typically know what they're up to. You know what I mean? They typically got a good plan of what they want to do. So, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I have a lot more respect, I guess, for ladies when they're young and their ability to, you know, handle the vagaries of life than men. Because, yeah, us young men, all we want to do is fight and try to impress the women. And sometimes it works. And sometimes it don't. And sometimes you end up covered in road rash because, you know, you did something really stupid. But it don't matter because later you and all your friends are going to hang out around the campfire and talk about how cool it was. So, you know, it all works out in the end. You know, why they say like pain is temporary and chicks dig scars. So, oh, I need to have this put onto one of my hunting jackets. It's Velcro backed. Actually, I've got a set of new BDUs for hunting, and they have the Velcro. So this is the Cross of Jerusalem.
Yep.
So Baldwin, King of Jerusalem, this was his symbol. But you'll see a lot of Russian soldiers wearing that too. Oh, man, where is my whitewash?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, Leth. I'm looking, though. Got Brucey Bruce driving around. Yeah, the fat electrician, though. Leth posted it, I believe. No, it wasn't Leth. It was Deckard.
Yeah, Deckard.
Posted the whole where the fat electrician's trying to say that the M2 Bradley is actually a tank. And it's like, I'm sorry, fat electrician, but in this case, you're just going to have to take the L. You're wrong. The M2 Bradley is not a tank. And it will never be a tank. I mean, even the up-armored version of that thing would have a hard time stopping a 50 cal. So don't give me any shit. That is not a tank. It carries infantrymen and it has support weapons to support infantrymen. It is an IFV, an infantry fighting vehicle. I mean, next, what's he going to do? Make a whole video trying to explain why the BMP-3 is a tank? It's like, are you insane? It's not a tank.
No, it isn't.
I mean, you know what a tank is. When you see a tank, you know what a tank is. And BMPs and Bradleys and Foxes and all those little things that cruise around with, a buttload of infantry in the back of them, strikers, etc. Those are not tanks, and they will never be tanks. So the fat electrician, totally wrong on that. Totally wrong. Made a whole video about it. But that someone else was trying to say Bradleys were tanks, and I was just like, are you insane? Like, are you having a stroke or something? What's going on with you, My beautiful daughter got me this for Christmas. It's a multi-part kit for taking care of your beard.
I have no beard anymore, or mostly any head hair.
Well, I shaved it up. Hit the like button for these two great guys. Oh, Janet, you flatter me. I'm not great. I'm not as good as I once was.
And I'm just a guy.
Man, have the years have gone. But there was a time back in my prime I could really get it on, right?
Another really
So
good
if
news.
You want some loving tonight?
You know what, James? Another good news is that I can actually print out the plate that I need to replace the spacer.
You are really, really into that. That's awesome. I'm very happy that you finally got the thing that you wanted so desperately. But Big Iron is a good song, but there's a guy out there that did a 40K version of that song.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
And it's actually kind of awesome.
Yeah, they did a pretty good job on that one.
They did a pretty good job on it. And they're like, except instead of Big Iron, it's Bolt Gun.
Yep.
And apparently the Inquisitor shows up at some hive full of scum and villainy. And he's got that bolt gun on his hip, and everybody's afraid of him because they don't know what he is because he didn't announce to anybody his deal. And there's this criminal that's been talking a bunch of shit. So eventually the Inquisitor...
I gotta go. I'll see you.
I'll see you later. So eventually the Inquisitor hunts the guy down, and they have a little draw, and the Inquisitor wins, of course. Master's Cause, my favorite song. Yeah, that's a good song. That's more like gospel. But my grandmother loved him. I mean, absolutely had like pictures of him on the wall and, But the creepiest thing my grandma had was a 3.5 foot tall statue. I shit you not. A 3.5 foot tall statue of Conway Twitty. And as soon as you walked in her house, there on the end of the couch, there stood Conway Twitty with his guitar. And it was just like, I mean, I like Conway Twitty, as much as the next guy. But I don't like little statues and shit around the house. They make me uncomfortable. It's like my mother, her house has got like 150 dolls in it. I shit you not, right? So you walk in the living room and there are dolls everywhere with their glassy eyes just staring at you. And I know it's an optical illusion, but because they have the glass eyes, they always look like they're looking at you, no matter where you go or sit. See, I can't sleep in that room because those dolls creep me the hell out. And some of them are made to look like hyper realistic. You know what I mean? Like, I think she's got a couple of dolls that might actually have human hair for their hair, right? And that strikes me as like, according to my old Jewish beliefs, when you cut your hair or pared your fingernails, you were supposed to burn them and bury what was left in secrecy so that no witch could get a hold of it. Because if a witch got a hold of your hair or fingernails or something like that, then they could do you great harm. And that is a thing that, yes, Judaism taught. So having dolls in your house that have like human hair attached to them, I don't know. That seems like, you know, the beginning of like a scary movie or something. You know what I mean? And there already was that one scary movie a long time ago where like the puppets come alive and start killing everybody. So, yeah, I am not a strong proponent of any of that shit, but she collects them. She collects them. And then if I print out like a racy pinup girl, because I have printed out a couple of racy pinup girls, I've just not gotten around to painting them. My mom, when she visits, she takes them and then like she takes my racy bikini clad waifus home to Kentucky and she knits them clothes so that they're fully clothed instead of, you know, wearing bikinis and stuff. And I'm like, all right, you know, whatever, you know, makes you happy, I guess. I just printed out for the hell of it. You know, I don't even look at it more than once or twice a month, really. It's just like I'm looking for them now and I don't even see them. Maybe because mom took them. But yeah, because I'll print out like the anime girls in the bikinis and mom will make them like dresses and stuff so that they don't look, you know, hypersexualized. So that's my mom. Hey, Crafting Gamer. Yeah, I think it's scary. But then again, I also am not a fan of clowns. And I know that's like a common thing. And I'll tell you what, there's a movie that come out in the last couple of years with a clown in it named Arthur. And let me tell you, unless you have a really strong stomach and you just want to be scared and disgusted at the same time, I would tell you, you don't want to watch that movie with Arthur the Clown in it. I can't even remember the name of the movie, but I think my mind like forced me to forget the name of the movie, like out of some sort of self-defense or something. My brain's like, you will not remember the name of that movie. It's like Desecrator or some shit like that. And you've just got this crazy ass clown running around. Like there's a scene where the clown catches some people, a guy and a girl, like getting it on in a shower. And he goes at him with a chainsaw and he literally puts the chainsaw on the guy's rectum. Rectum, hell, nearly killed him. And cuts him in half. Starting there, you know, and there's no like rhyme or reason for why Arthur the Clown does what he does. He just does what he does. It's like he's not avenging anything. He's not, you know, it's like there's no motive. He just does it because he likes to. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I mean, first off, it's a clown, terrifying. And he's running around like, you know, doing just the most horrible kind of shit. And there's no holds barred in this movie. If you're a little kid, guess what? Yeah, you're not protected. Arthur will kill you. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, Arthur will kill you. So right now I'm putting Templar White, which is the whitewash, on the Sardaukar, right? And then they'll get a very light whitewash, And then these guys will get a gloss black faceplate, a silver helmet. The belt will be like a leather color, but with silver accoutrement because they've got shield generators and suspensors and stuff like that. And then I'm going to draw like sloppy red stripes on their shoulders. Because with Terrifier movies, they are terrifying, Coco. They are absolutely terrifying. Those movies, that is, I mean, if you got a bunch of friends and you're like, hey, you want to get together and watch scary movies, put that shit on. You may lose friends because they may be like, no, this is like not a thing, you know. Me and my wife used to watch scary movies. I don't even know why we stopped. I kept doing it. She stopped. Of course, the scariest movie that she and I watched together was The Taking of Deborah Logan. She fell asleep during the movie. I about lost my shit. That movie was scary. You know? Because you got these kids trying to do a college thing about Alzheimer's, right? And what they don't, he's a demon. Well, okay, that makes sense. Because he is actually just a horrible thing. You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, in The Taking of Deborah Logan, these college kids are trying to do like the stages of Alzheimer's. So they got this old lady that they're filming. What they don't know is she's demonically possessed. So it does have one of my favorite things in any scary movie, though. It's like the one guy, after a couple scary things happen, the one guy's like, I'm out of here. And they try to talk him into staying. And he's like, look, I think you all should come with me. And they're like, no, we got to do the thing. And he's like, okay. And he gets in the van, starts her up and leaves. And you never see him again. So when he said, F this, I'm out, he meant it. And I totally relate to that. That guy was my spirit animal in that movie because when some of that weird ass shit started happening, I would have been like, yeah, we're going to need an old priest and a young priest or whatever. But me not being a priest, I'm leaving. But I had no idea Arthur the Clown was a demon. I just thought he was just the worst sort of person ever. Because yeah, he does some truly disgusting, horrible shit in that movie. That is like torture porn with a clown. And some people are going to love it and they're going to enjoy the hell out of it. But me, I was like, God, man. I was like, I don't know. Now, one movie I cannot give enough thumbs up because I only have the 2. This is a movie I've watched multiple times to make sure I knew what I was watching. And I would recommend this movie to anyone. And it's called Nefarious. And it's a very scary movie, even though there's really barely any action in it at all. Like 80% of the movie at least is just 2 people sitting across from a table with each other talking. And yet it's creepy as hell. You know what I mean? Is very creepy. And you know. But I'm not going to spoil Nefarious for you, but if you haven't seen it, I'm going to tell you, it's one of those movies where it's good and you'll probably watch it 3 times. And every time you watch it after the first time, you will notice something you didn't see the time before. You know what I mean? That's how it is. It's kind of like that, you know. There's like all kinds of little another movie like that, which my wife hated, I absolutely adored, was Hereditary. Like by the fourth time you watch Hereditary and you know to keep your eyes open and look for stuff, it's like all the stuff is right there from the get-go. It's like there's so many Easter eggs in that movie that's letting you know what's happening in the movie. But the first time you watch it, unless you're my pops, you're probably not going to catch a lot of things, right? I say unless you're my pops because my pops is the kind of guy that he's that guy that always gets it. Like I remember sitting down with him and I put Fight Club on, and within 5 minutes he's like, Tyler Durden doesn't exist. I'm like, how the hell do you know that? And he's like, it's pretty simple, really. And he's that guy that you watch movies that got like twists and you think, you know, he'll never get this twist. He gets it right away. But then again, my pops is kind of a super genius. Kind of. I mean, he's old now and forgetful and stuff. But when he was younger, I mean, yeah, he was pretty much a super genius. But he sacrificed a lot for me, I'll tell you that. So, nothing but love for my pops. He might not be biologically my dad, but he will forever and ever be my dad. You know what I mean? He's the one that I think taught me to be a man. Plus, he thinks I'm a mensch. So, you know, within the Jewish community, if an older person says you're a mensch, that's like you're a made man. You know what I mean? You get respect. You're a mensch, you know, and that respect follows you wherever you go. So, you know, in the community, people are like, you know, you can count on Moishe. He's a mensch. You know what I mean? Because, of course, you have your name, but then you have a Hebrew name. So my pops goes by Mark, but actually his name is Moishe. But Moishe is just Hebrew for Mark. See, now I'm lucky because Hebrew for James is James. You know what I mean? So it's like, you know, it's like, yeah, there's no super special whatevers. Like Hebrew for Stephen is Stephen. I mean, my cousin Stephen, yeah, that was just Stephen. You'd be surprised how many names people use that actually come from old school Hebrew names. It's like a lot, you know. Like if you've ever read the Bible, pretty much all of the names in there that aren't Roman. It's funny too, because one of my favorite movies, because I'm that kind of guy, is My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And like when they go and meet her family for the first time, and like all of the kids are named Peter, Paul, and Maria. And literally there's like 20 or 30 kids and they're all named Peter, Paul, and Maria, depending, you know. The boys are all Peter and Paul and the girls are all Maria. And then, of course, the main character agrees to convert to Orthodoxy so he can marry his Greek sweetie pie. And yeah, it's a good movie. It's cute. You know, it's just a cute movie. I like it. But yeah, the Sardaukar, once I get this white wash on, because, you know, painting anything white or yellow is always a pain in the ass, right? So they'll get like a light whatever, and I might dirty them up, put a little sand color on them, you know, since these guys are on Arrakis. And then put the gloss coat and the dull coat on, and they'll be done. And that I'll have like over 20 Sardaukar, and including this guy. I mean, I know you probably won't focus in, but this is the Sardaukar that Peter talks to when Peter goes to Seleucid Secundus to talk about just put some Windex on. Yeah, that was what's his name? Everyone called him Gus, but his real name was Constantine. And his cure for literally everything in the world was spray it with Windex. And his mom was constantly breaking out of the house and freaking going on about she slept with a knife because she was afraid the Turks would come. Plus, she thought everyone who wasn't Greek was a Turk. Crazy old lady. I mean, to me, I would be. I know there's a lot of people out there that are going to take this away. But if somebody were to walk up to me and be like, oh, man, are you Turkish? I think I would take that kind of as an insult. I'd be like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean, am I Turkish? Like, what about me makes you think I might be a Turk? I'm just curious to know, you know? All you got to do is go to Frankfurt for a while. You will learn about Turks pretty quick. You will learn. And what you will learn is nothing good. You will not be happy with any of the stuff that you learn. As a matter of fact, when I was in the army and I was in Frankfurt, we had a nickname for Turks. It was ass stabbers. Because one of the things Turks do, mostly to each other, but they'll do it to non-Turks too, is they like to carry around little knives with like maybe a 1-inch blade, you know? Like definitely not enough that it could do serious damage or whatever. But if you do something to piss them off enough, one of them will walk up behind you and stab you right in your butt cheek. And I mean, it's not enough that anyone would ever consider it like life-threatening, but it is enough that you'll be in a lot of pain and you can barely sit down, you know, until the wound heals. And they do that to each other, but they'll do it to non-Turks too. Especially if you really want to get the non-Turks really upset at you, like flirt with their women. The Turks, yeah, flirt with their women. Act like you're trying to pick up a Turkish girl in Frankfurt. Next thing you know, she'll have like her 25 cousins and brothers out there. You know, you'll have to watch out to make sure that none of them sneak up behind you and stab you in the ass. Like, they do not tolerate that. Well, okay, I'm talking back in like 92. Back in 92, you did not flirt with a Turkish girl if you were in Germany. You didn't do it. And of course, if you're in the army, you went everywhere with at least 2 or 3 buddies. And the reason is like Turks are not going to jump 3 or 4 GIs. You know, they might yell at you and carry on if you flirt with their women. But if there's like 3 or 4 GIs there and they know that it's GIs, they're not going to. Trench Ghost still viable after the nerf. Crano, did they nerf the Trench Ghost on the Palanquin? That's the one I know everybody was bitching about. Is that what they nerfed? I mean, I never played a game with that. So, hey, Doc, how you doing, homie? I never played a game with the guy on the Palanquin, even though I thought about taking like a old World War I tank and just making it stand in because it would be perfect for that. And just say that, your unit's led by a haunted tank. But boy, a lot of people were pissed off because apparently rules is written. If you had the leader of your trench ghosts on the Palanquin, which could be a tank, it affected like line of sight and all kinds of shit like this. So, basically people were arguing about how you couldn't attack them because they were like too many inches away from you, because you count lateral as well as whatever the thing I'm trying to say is. So yeah, the trench ghosts were their melee. I never thought their melee was bad. The only unit that I thought their melee was maybe a little OP was the what are they called? They're assassins, those guys. We were talking about Crano come in and start talking about the trench ghosts from hell, I forget the name of the game. Trench Crusade. I guess people thought they were too good. I never had an issue with that, but whatever. I had read a lot of people complaining though about Trench Ghost Commander on Palanquin with something, and it basically made an unkillable character. And a lot of people didn't like that. But I don't see how that's an unkillable character. You just call artillery in on that shit, right? I mean, especially if you're playing like the Servants of Hell and you've got like an artillery witch or two. I mean, it's like, oh, undead, artillery, whee, But even like a lot of the other guys could have artillery. So New Antioch could have it. Even some of the like the faction I played, which was the Zealots. If you played Zealots that followed Saint Methodius, who is an actual saint, your gigantic war machines could be equipped with mortars and shit. So you basically got the equivalent of a Warhammer Armiger or Dreadnought or whatever, and you can mount like guns on that thing. Then if you want to get crazy, you sacrifice some of your zealots to it before the game starts. What are the Democrats up to now? What's up, Death Angel? We're talking about Trench Crusade. And one of the armies, the one that Kronos is most, or Kron is most concerned with, is the Trench Ghosts, which are people who died in the trenches in such a way that they could neither ascend to heaven nor descend to their hellish punishment. So they're just trapped in the trenches. Now, the other army is the Seven Sins or whatever. And they're a lot more like Warhammer Chaos. Because when you make your army, you get your Praetor, which is kind of like a half demon. And you pick which sin that they follow. So, wrath and all that. They're pretty cool, I guess. But I play Zealots, which are just woke up. Yeah, I saw you talking to Double D the other day when he was doing his like surprise painting live stream. I should have logged on and joined him, but I was already in bed. going to sleep, so that wasn't going to happen. But yeah, the trench ghosts are evil, but they're not truly on any side anymore. You know what I mean? They're not truly like my 7-headed serpent army has I feature 3 of the locusts. I'm a fan of them. And yeah, I got them around here somewhere. But a praetor, an artillery witch to start, locusts, and then a couple of those like really twisted half demon guys. And maybe if you've got the points, you can throw in basically the anti-paladin guys, the big armored dudes that you can equip with a rifle or a sword or something. Those guys are cool. But like I said, my favorite army is always going to be my Byzantine zealots, and they look like World War I, but also Byzantine. And one of the units you can take as an elite is Varangians with like great axes and shit. So that's kind of cool, you know. You got your Byzantine army, you've got your priest. In the Byzantine army, you don't have a commander, you just have a priest. Yeah, the Temple of Metamorphosis is them trying their best to get away from the heaven-hell setup that they originated the game out of, because a lot of their fans are retards. And the creators of the game itself, they're super retards too. You know, like all you got to do is look at the map they put out and you're like, yeah, these guys are retarded. So what you end up with Trench Crusade, you end up with an artist that did some relatively cool art, but then he got together with a bunch of ultra woke idiots and decided to try to make a game out of it. And because the art looked super cool, people were like, yeah, I want to, you know, be a part of this thing, right? But the writing, the lore, everything is so freaking just stupid. It's just stupid. And it doesn't make sense. And of course, if you go to their webpage and you say this, you'll end up getting banned. And then they decided they didn't want to be on X anymore, so they went to Blue Sky. Good luck with that. And I mean, which should have been to anybody with a brain, when they decided they were going to move all their communication to Blue Sky, that should have been when anyone with a brain realized parachute out, or, like I've said multiple times, play the game however you want and ignore them. Because I guarantee you, most of the people who watch my channel, if not all of them, or anyone out there, could write better lore than they do. And stuff that makes more sense, right? Like somehow the New World was never colonized, and yet also somehow they're not fallen to, you know, the forces of hell. Because when they started their game, the creator, one of the creators of the game, said that they were going to try to avoid any colonialism whatsoever. Therefore, the New World in that era would still be ruled by the Aztecs, basically. So when people went online, myself being one, and asked them, are you basically saying the forces of hell have completely dominated the New World? They got really mad about it because they didn't want to admit that the Aztec religion is what we would consider very evil. What with, you know, all the child sacrifice and you know, cannibalism and whatnot, right? So yeah, Like, also, they made sure to make Ukraine an independent country and put the capital of Russia, like, not in Moscow. They made Finland independent. Whereas during this time period in the real world, Finland was the Archduchy of Finland, part of the Russian Empire. Ukraine did not exist. And all of the Baltic states were also part of the Russian Empire. So, yeah, they took all their business to Blue Sky because they couldn't handle the people on Twitter just asking questions. It wasn't even like they're being attacked. It was simple stuff like the Aztec thing. And they just had no answer for it, right? And then their argument is that the Atlantic Ocean and I guess the Pacific Ocean are completely dominated by the forces of hell, right? And it's like, how? But you're not supposed to ask how. You know, it's like the forces of the good guys have airplanes and they have navies of their own. You know, the main Hell Gate is in Jerusalem, and that's where they supposedly built their navy. So, how did a navy sneak through the Mediterranean past all of these Allied bases and just not get torpedoed into the dirt by torpedo bombers? Who knows? But after they did that part, they managed to also, you know, become the dominant force of naval power. And it's like, nothing you're saying makes sense. Okay. Nothing you're saying makes sense. And my favorite thing is when some of the idiots on Blue Sky, or no, this was on their homepage. You had a whole group of idiots that were like begging for a new Antioch faction that was atheist. And I'm sitting here like, the whole point of this game is that demons from hell, like literal hell, have burst onto the scene and they're doing everything they can to destroy everything. And if you're playing the good guys, then you are a servant of the church and Christ. And your whole deal is to stop the demons from destroying everything, right? That is the basic layout. And yet, there are idiots on their webpage looking for atheists as a faction. It's like, okay, it's easy in real life where we don't have any solid proof to be an atheist. I get it, you know? If you're one of those guys and you're like, well, I don't see any proof, so I'm just going to not believe in anything. Fine. But how do you be an atheist when a gore demon jumps into a trench with you and your friends and tries to eat you? At that point, you would think that the whole idea of atheism would just fly right out the window. You'd just be like, yep, there's a demon. That's what that is. 100%. 100% a demon. You know, these troopers that we're fighting, they're so evil, they don't even have 1 ounce of good in them anywhere. They're devoted to the archdemon Pazuzu, and here they come to kill us and probably eat us. But I'm atheist. It's like, are you insane? So you got in trouble if you mentioned that. And then all the LGBTQ, whatever people got mad when people pointed out that they would obviously be on the side of hell, since the church would never accept them into the holy ranks of the church's army. Nor would any zealot priest be all like, hey, we're okay with that, you know? So that was a big deal And that's why when you go onto their webpage, they specifically say, don't even talk about it. We are LGBT friendly, blah, blah, blah. Because, yeah, people called them out on that shit pretty quick, you know? And, yeah. So far, their main objective has just been to hide from any sort of debate that goes against their weird leftist European views because they're English. And yeah. It's really funny if you go on their webpage and you see people trying to find ways to make the forces of hell actually the good guys. I'm not even kidding. They do that. You have people on there literally trying to make the argument that hell is the good guys and that heaven are the bad guys. And it's like, are you insane? But it always turns out they're one of those people with like profiles and shit, pronouns and shit. Right? Which, I mean, says a lot. Like if you're one of those guys and you're doing everything you can to make heaven seem bad and hell seem good, what you have done, whether you know it or not, is you have admitted that heaven is good and hell is bad, and you know where you're going. So you're trying to, at least in a game, switch it up a little bit. But unfortunately for those people, yeah, that's just not the way theology works. Yeah, they're just, it is not the way theology works. And then some people, they'll argue about, like the writers try to make New Antioch kind of authoritarian. But it's like, yeah, it's a war. You're literally in the middle of a war with the forces of hell. There's no time for, whatever in the hell you're thinking. Get that shit right out of your head right now. Because we're not talking about, a conversation on theology and whether or not people should believe. We're talking about the literal destruction of not just the human race, but their very souls. And then those servants being drugged straight into the inferno, which some people have seen in the game rules. I mean, there's a special breed of trooper that when they get to the gate of hell, they're so evil they can actually enter hell. And of course, they get super burned up and everything from being in hell, but they get strapped on with like demonic armor and shit like that, and you can equip them with flamethrowers. The Exalted, I think they're called. Yeah, that's what messed me up, Crano, is like the concept is so super cool. It's a super cool concept. World War I, except in the Levant, mostly, and North Africa, and endless hordes of half demons and evil humans versus, the defenders of humanity. But then they had to frickin' left it up with stupid shit. And the more stupid shit they added, the less the setting made sense. Which is why, like, Arch Warhammer tore them a new ass when they released their map. But you know who tore them an even bigger new ass? Their own fans. Because all of their main fans on their boards, because of them banning everybody, are hardcore lefties, right? So when they release the map of the world, all of the hardcore lefties accuse them of being racists, which made no sense, but The thing with Trench Crusade is it's one of those things where really the less they said, the better the game would have been. You know, you had the concept. Hell has come to Earth. And they are hell bent, if you will pardon the pun, to destroy humanity. That is the concept. And then some brave humans, the survivors of all this horrible shit, have have volunteered basically to die in horrible ways for the good of humanity. And then, you know, you add your different factions of each side of this and you're good. Done. Leave it alone. There's trenches stretching from the freaking Black Sea all the way to the coast, and everywhere you look, literally it's like the movie The Labyrinth. There's just trenches and barbed wire for thousands of miles everywhere. And half of it's haunted by freaking trench ghosts. It's like, so stop being assholes and leave it alone. But they can't. They can't leave it alone. And then they say things like, I correct them on one thing because they said a statement and they quoted it as like Psalm whatever. But I have my Bible within reach most of the time. And I looked up the Psalm and they had miswrote it. So I wrote them a letter and I said, listen, if you're going to quote the Bible and list scriptural, you know, titles, like at least have the respect to quote it correctly. And it's like, so that got them in a lot of trouble too with a lot of people, because even on the left, there are a lot of people that get a little bit funky if you start messing with, you know, rewriting the Bible, you know what I mean? And that's what they started doing. They were just like putting quotes in the game that were like, what? That's not in Psalms, you know? I mean, there is a Psalms, whatever the number was, but it's not what you wrote. So, I mean, honestly, to a point, guys, let's be honest with each other here. I know I'm ranting about how stupid they are, and they are very stupid. The less, like I said, the less involvement they had, the better their product would have been if they just left the whole trench war thing to the imagination of the gamers and just provided the basic sandbox and the basic toys that you're going to use to play your Trench Crusade, right? But they couldn't do that. But at the same time, what I wanted to say is, boy, did they choose a setting to make a game in that is just literally a landmine. I mean, literally a minefield. You know what I mean? Because they're not dealing with fake religions, and they're not dealing with a fake world like, you know, Greyhawk or something, right? And they're not dealing with you know, these things that people don't really care too much about, except some of the Greyhawk guys are pretty hardcore. I being one of them. I hate when people start trying to rewrite Greyhawk. Leave alone. But anyway, so the creators of the game themselves inadvertently stepped in a minefield. And that's why I say the best thing they could have done is just given you the pure bare minimum and let you do your thing. Because, I mean, what do you think might happen if a bunch of hardcore Wahhabist Muslims get their hands on the book for Trench Crusade and find out that in Trench Crusade, the Sultanate of Iron or whatever is basically just another version of hell? Like, the Muslims are not well represented in the book. And additionally, in the book, Jesus Christ is a fact. It's not a, is Jesus God on earth, the Son of God, the Holy Trinity. In this game, they that is reality, right? So now you've got the Muslims. Where do they fit in? Because they reject Christ. And the Jews, who apparently have a little fortress of their own, where do they fit in? They reject Christ, which means Muslims and Jews and anyone else are going to be attacked by both the forces of heaven and the forces of hell. Yeah, I don't know if they think they're smarter than everyone else, or if there's a saying, I forget the name of the saying, but it's when a group of stupid people get together and they all think they're way smarter than they are. So then it causes trouble because, they all think they're smarter than they are. And it's like that. It's like they hired like a really hardcore lefty to write lore for them. And that was the first mistake. And like I said, I almost feel like the creators of Trench Crusade are in a no-win situation. Yeah, Hebrew Knights. It's like, all right, play your Hebrew Knights. If you encounter my Byzantine zealots, you will be sent straight to hell because you don't accept Christ. That's just what it is. And a lot of people be like, oh my God, but that is how religion works, even in games. And the same thing with the Muslims. It's like, oh, you're a Muslim. You don't accept Christ, huh? Yeah, you're going to hell. Get out of here. It's like in the hardcore zealot Christian mind, anyone that rejects Christ is automatically a servant of hell. End all. Right? You can try and convert them, but if they refuse, then they get the holy fire. And that's why I'm saying they effed up kind of in a way with just the setting. Yeah, the trench pilgrims go hard. I mean, when you got a guy and he's got like nails in his head and a giant Orthodox cross like nailed to his chest, and they've got a robot that's not a robot, it's actually powered by an Orthodox monk being tortured to death. I mean, the trench zealots are so hardcore that the actual church that's running the war side-eyes them bastards. You know what I mean? Like if you're New Antioch and you see a trench pilgrim crusade coming your way, you got to wonder, are they going to just go through into the trenches to all die eventually fighting hell? Or are they coming for you because you disagree with their version of the Bible? And the trench pilgrims, a lot of them, if you look in the army list, they do not accept any of the new scripture in the game that was introduced by Rome. So these guys are hardcore Orthodox Christian, and they're out there on the battlefield with automatic rifles and two-handed swords and half-dressed crazed ninja monk nuns. Yeah, an Iron Maiden mech that runs on pain and blood. I mean, it's some crazy shit. And the pilots volunteer. And let's not forget the naked nuns that encase their heads in freaking helmets and wear no clothes and just run across the battlefield swinging weapons around trying to kill everything. Because they had a vision from God that was what they were supposed to do. I say that because I just so happen to have a kind of a naked nun right here. Of course, I'm not going to paint her nipples on because I'm going to cover her with just blood spatter. She's seen some shit. She's got her auto pistol in one hand and a sword in the other. Yeah, she's seen some shit. She's ready to go. But I don't know if you know this or not, Crano, but I made a Swiss Guard army for Trench Crusade by taking the Swiss Guard from War Games Atlantic and just modding them up a little bit. And so you end up with like some dudes with like halberds and some dudes with like, I don't know, M1 Grands or whatever in the hell I put on them. And they're all wearing like the breastplate and the orange and purple striped pants. And they got the crest and all that shit. They look really cool. I mean, only 4 of them, I think, are allowed to be actual Swiss Guard. And the rest of them are just guys. But they're badasses. And they're one of the few armies that fight for New Antioch that do not need an officer, unless the officer is one of the 4 Swiss Guards. Otherwise, they're led by a priest, which is pretty cool. Psalms 50 and 51. Is that the one where it says, "Blessed be the Lord who makes my finger strong for battle. Blessed be the Lord that strengthens my arm for war"? I forget. Three cats and 2 Pomeranians. You should just said you got 5 cats. Except 2 of them think they're dogs. But yeah, and you know, I've got my little Pom, and of course, we spoil the shit out of him. He's our little boy, you know. He has some weird. He's got some weird identity crises, though, because like he doesn't like to poop unless I'm out there with him, which is kind of weird if you think about it. You know what I mean? So I am the poop master, basically. I think it's because I'm big and he thinks I am the alpha. So he just feels more comfortable when I'm out there watching him poop than he does if my wife takes him out. I mean, he'll poop for her, but he prefers me, you know. And then I take him out and run him around and rile him up, and he gets the zoomies and he just starts running in circles. It's so funny, too, because when he goes for a turn, he'll practically be sideways to the ground during the turn, and he'll let out a growl. So he'll be making the turn and going, rah. No, I think the difference is when I take him out, I run him. You know what I mean? Like I exercise him. I run the shit out of him. And if he's got any inkling of taking a poop after I run his ass for about a quarter mile, he's going to do it. And then, of course, yeah, I'm the poop protection. Because when he goes to take a poop, he always looks at me, and then he'll look around and he'll make sure I'm still there. He's like, yeah, we're doing this thing, you know. And I mean, you know, they're good little dogs, though. Pomeranians are just good little dogs. My wife apparently is destroying my kitchen.
I'm sorry?
I was just saying my wife is apparently destroying the kitchen or something. I got my red glasses on so that if we ever get in a civil war, I can walk up to people and be like, so what edition of D&D do you play D&D? And if they say yes, you know, I've got my AR and 300 Blackout. I say, what edition? I love that meme. I posted it on my Discord. It's the guy from the Civil War movie that was shooting everybody and throwing them in a ditch. Except instead of saying, are you American? And then asking, where are you from? It's the guy saying, do you play D&D? And then he's all like, what edition? Because that movie pissed me off a little bit because the guy from Hong Kong that gets shot, the whole time I'm sitting here saying, lie. When he walks up and he says, "Are you American?" Say, "Yes." And he says, "Where are you from?" Say, "Chinatown, San Francisco, California." And then he would be like, "All right." I have a feeling he'd let him go, right? Be like, "All right, you're American. Your people have been here for 200 years. That's good." But instead, the guy's crying. It says Hong Kong. It's like, I'm not trying to say people should sin, and we all know lying is a sin, but damn it. A little white lie that's going to keep you out of a mass grave seems like a pretty okay thing. I think God would be okay with that. Now, I don't know, but I have a feeling that you would not be damned to hell because you lied about being from Chinatown, San Francisco. And then the Spanish guy, all he had to say is, "Oh, I'm from Miami near Coral Gables." All right. I mean, first edition is the only edition. I kind of agree with that. However, I am back to my old ways, guys. Back to my old ways. Some of you even know I'm not playing D&D at all right now. I'm running Modiphius 2-20 Doom. And so far, the players are loving it. Like McDonald's, I'm loving it. Yeah, that's what's going on. Like a player that missed last week will be here this week. I painted a figure for him. Or for one of them, And I'm playing the Dune where Paul Atreides was never born. So, like the Dune Awakens setting. And there's a lot of since this happened. So, Paul was never born because the Lady Jessica gave birth to a daughter named Ariste. And then because she did what she was supposed to do for the Bene Gesserit, she was promoted to truthsayer and trained to be a truthsayer. And since she was trained to be a truthsayer, she immediately sussed out that Yui was up to what he was up to. And because she sussed out what Yui was up to, when the Harkonnen and the Emperor attacked Erskine, the shields were perfectly up. And all of the ships that they caught on the starport or on the landing ground, they were in the air waiting. So it turned into a bloodbath. But at the final thought, though, is that the Atreides survived. So did the Harkonnen. So then the Emperor, because so much bloodshed and everything was screwing with spice, the great houses of the Landsraad step in. They're like, something needs to be done. So the Emperor basically split Arrakis between Atreides and Harkonnen, kind of, sort of, and declared the War of Assassins, which in the Dune universe means you can't take any direct military action against your enemy, but you are 100% if you can poison them, stab them, kill them, assassinate them in a way that nobody can prove you did it, then that's all fair game. Canly, it's called. So if you are allied with a house or whatever, and let's say you've bought yourself a carry-on, a harvester, and you're out in the deep desert and no one's around, and like an enemy house rolls up, they can just kill you and take your shit. And there's really nothing you can do about it. Try to survive, So it's a very political game, and yet at the same time, not. Because while it's very much into the politics, it's also into Spycraft, Counter Spycraft. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much, Becky. Yep. Yep. This miniature right here, you can barely see. That's actually my brother, my real life brother. Someone on, we know on YouTube made a miniature of him. And I painted him up like a fire giant because I thought that'd be cool. I printed him up like a fire giant, yeah. And then I've got Alexander the Great and his companion guard there. And of course, I'm not a weeaboo, but there are just some anime characters you got to have. And of course, Goblin Slayer's got to be one. And if you're going to get Goblin Slayer, well, then, come on, guys. You got to have guts, right? This is, I think, it's not wanting to focus in. This is guts during the Golden Age arc. It's not guts with the black armor yet. And I've got all of the demons too from Berserk. I've got Slan. So there's Slan. She's a PG-13 Slan, They do have a model of her where her wings are open and she's just full on nude. And right up here, I've got Nosferatu Zod, the Ghost Guy, the Skull Knight, Griffin, who I've used in games, actually. In my games of D&D, I've used this Griffin character to represent, NPCs and stuff. Griffin, why did you have to be a jerk? You know what I mean? It's like, why? Why, Griffin? You could have been cool, but you were a jerk. And then this guy, who may actually be appropriate to what I'm painting right now, please focus. He needs to be focused in. He deserves it. Let's put my finger here and see if that helps. Sometimes it does. Get the camera to figure out what it's looking at. Anyway, that's Duncan, Idaho. Yeah. I got Duncan, Idaho. Fighting a big battle using the 2.20 Dune rules would be Death Dealer, Lady Death, Slain. See, now we're going to do a show and tell. I just did the base coats on these guys yesterday, and there's a few of them, but you'll all recognize this guy, I'm sure. So I need to do his Uzis and his swords and paint his eyes in white and, touch him up. But yeah, it's the merc with the mouth. Because, you got to have the merc with the mouth. And, of course, you got to have Green Lantern. I think this is one from the movie that Ryan Reynolds was in. I forget his name, but because I'm not a superhero fan, but for some reason I decided I'm going to paint up a bunch of superheroes. And this guy's actually done. He's ready. He's done. He's ready to go. Come on. Luke Cage. Got my Luke Cage figure ready to go. Some of them are a lot easier to paint than others. Come on. This is, what's his name from G.I. Joe? Storm Shadow or whatever. He's just all black, maybe paint some metal, Chinese stars on him or something, shuriken or whatever. But yeah, not a lot to him. And I've got the female Green Lantern, but I need to paint her face and hair. The female Green Lantern, and then, well, the thing is I thought a buddy of mine is writing a role-playing game called Heroic. Snake Eyes, that's his name. And I'm backing it. So when and if it ever gets finished, I don't know. I might actually sit down with the guys and gals, because I got a lot of females in my game group, and be like, basically let them pick a character. But so let's say one of them wants to be Deadpool, right? Just have him make an original character, but with Deadpool's powers. And, which is trained by the U.S. Green Beret, and won't die, but can be chopped to little bits. So, I mean, Deadpool's not as powerful if you think about it. It's not like he's super, super powerful, because, I mean, if you blow him into little pieces, he's got to crawl off, and eventually, it takes him a long time to get back together. I've got the Crimson Witch. I think they made a TV show where she took over a village or something. So these are just generic. They're nobody, but the STLs were like superhero, and it's a chick with a shield, and I painted her gold for some reason. I probably should paint her hair like some other color or whatever, but I don't know. So there's a lot of that. And then this Litholdus has been helping me come up with the paint scheme for this bad boy. I forget the model. I'd have to get my book, which battleship this actually is, but it's the one that just has nothing but lances on it. And it's got like a forward-facing spinal mount gun, a neutron cannon or whatever. So, I mean, this is serious business. This is a Warhammer 40K Imperial battleship for a Battlefleet Gothic. But yeah, we're trying to make it look as old and beat up as possible. It's got an angel on it too, so maybe I could paint it up like the Sword of Baal, which is the battleship that the Blood Angels use to transport themselves around. All right. Haven't painted this guy. I need to look up how to paint him, but it's Black Adam. So, and I have the actual Shazam too. But there's Black Adam. Oh, everybody knows who this is. Come on, guys. Guy in a gray coat, that's an angel with a white shirt and a blue beard. Castiel from Supernatural. But I guess he could be in a superhero game if somebody wanted him to be. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been doing, is slowly, as the mood takes me, I'll work on one thing and then the next, I made a bunch of terrain I need to finish up, but it needs the washes and textures. But, I made this terrain piece. It's on just, plastic. And once I put the washes on, I'm thinking I'm going to put some Elmer's glue in here and just put some really fine sand down just to texture it. And then give it a little bit of distress, aging, And then we'll have a another desert. This is where I ended up with this one. And I still think I may need to put the smooth sand on the smooth areas, but I'm not sure. But that is the terrain piece. And so you can see how it's got rocks and rubble all over it. And, you know, just put this down on the table and have characters fight over it would be pretty fun, right? Maybe. And the third one, I haven't actually painted the base of it, but I've got the main parts are done up. Which this was probably, I don't know if it was a good idea or not, but I used AK Rust to simulate the fact that these hills are made out of a lot of iron. So yeah. I mean, if somebody wanted to play a Super Ninja and use Snake Eyes figure as their character, I'd be like, okay, you know, I mean, I don't care. That wouldn't bother me at all, you know. Now others that I've got, they're still on the way. Hopefully they'll get here before too long. Oh, yeah. The Flash. You gotta have the Flash, right? Flashing around. Hopefully they get here before too long, but I've got like a bunch of you know, other superheroes, you know, like Adam and or not Adam, Shazam, Homelander. I bought a figure of Homelander. Somewhere in here, I don't see it because I'm not looking real good. I've got a miniature of what is his name? Bullseye. He's the guy that's got like the target on his forehead and he never misses when he throws something. Yeah, I've got him in here somewhere. Oh, here's some of the other guys. They're over here in this other container. So who do we got here? Iron Man. So I need to mix up some metallic red for that. And some gold. And then, of course, I had to have this. Captain America. That's right. Got to have Captain America. Get all crazy and paint him up all in red with like a Soviet red, like a hammer and sickle on the shield. That'd be nuts. And then my favorite superhero from the actual cartoon, Gambit. Because I never read any comic books, guys. I am not a comic book fan. I've read exactly no comic books. This is my favorite superhero just because I always really appreciated the way she looked. Power Girl. Yeah, I always loved Power Girl. And not that I ever read any comic she's ever been in, but I was just always a fan of Power Girl. And let's see. Is that all of them? Nope. This guy. What is his damn name? Deadshot? No. But he's got like the bullseye on his forehead. He's a bad guy. And he can throw anything and always hits, which is pretty cool. And then the last guy I've started working on is Doctor Strange, because, you know, you never know when you might need a big medic. You know, a doctor. Is there a doctor in the house? And then I've got some of these guys, which are 100% generic sci-fi soldiers. And I've been painting them up in sand colors so that they can represent smugglers and whatever else in Dune. So, yeah. Or house troops for the player characters, House Minoris. Now, it has been 2 hours. That's when I cut off. Thank you all for sharing this time with me. Peace and love to every one of you. Hopefully, Trench Crusade guys will realize that their best bet lies in silence. They need to just shut up and let the game be good. And have a wonderful weekend. So let me end that. My wife is staring at me. Something's going on.
I'm just making casserole.
What casserole are we? Ham and asparagus?
Ham asparagus.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, I hope you catch me again too. And of course, it might be easier for you on YouTube because, but hey, you and the other guy who dropped in from Twitch were really good because usually people who join my channel from Twitch are just straight up jackasses. I don't know if there's something weird in the water at over at Twitch, but regardless,